Good day and welcome to My Excellency 9.3. Are you ready to turn raw data into automated tracking engines? We bring real-world logic straight to your spreadsheets every Tuesday. Let's command your operations.
Today is Tuesday, so let's start to build our automated Gantt chart. By the end of this tutorial, you will know exactly how to first unlock advanced conditional formatting. I'll show you how to use custom formulas to trigger formatting based on specific conditions. So this is the secret to making your Gantt chart bars move automatically. So second, use data validation to create clean, clickable drop-down lists for your team. And third, master date functions workday to calculate a precise end dates that automatically skip weekends and your desired designated holidays. Fourth, I'll show you how to lock and protect specific areas of your spreadsheet so no one accidentally breaks your formulas or messes up your design. And finally, we will tie it all together using basic formulas. Keep your dashboard looking professional. So let us now start to create our dynamic Gantt chart. So first, let's open an Excel spreadsheet. Then I already save it under the Gantt chart days once, so we're using days as a reference for our graph. So let us build our template first. So now we have our the basic details on our template. So we have my project. So these are all your options, whatever headers or titles that you want to put in here. So I put person responsible, task, duration, which is the number of days the project needs in order for it to be completed. We have the baseline and the actual. Since baseline will be the original or the planned dates, the actual will be the actual date that your project was executed, started, and ended. So we have the status. So this is where you're going to put whether it's already completed or it's delay, stop, or whatever status that you want to put here. And then remarks. This is where you're going to type reasons, example, why the project was delayed, because you have delay in materials, and so on and so forth. So you can still add other attributes in here of your choice. We're going to create a drop-down menu in here, and where you're just going to select like the person responsible. All of the list of the names that involved in that project will be listed, and you'll be selecting one similar with the task and status. So how are we going to do that? First, we're going to create one new tab, add tab. So let's rename it as task input. So let's create the headers. So let's say Emmy, Nalisa, Jenny, Rachel, Manny, and then the task is for some task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4, and so on and so forth. So you can change this anytime. You can add and you can change person responsible, tasks when you're already working on the project. And then the status, complete, ongoing, delay, stop. So under status, you can also change this when you're already working on your project. Let's start adding a drop-down menu. So first, we're going to click on this cell first, and then we're going to go to data, click data validation, then click list, ignore blanks, and then under source, click this arrow, which will lead you to selecting the range where the range or the source of your data. So I will be selecting from 2, and just by default, let's select up to 100. So you can change this as well, but let's be consistent. So let's make it 100. So that the next time you'll just add a name under money, you still have a space at the 100. So in case the person responsible like increase more than 100, it can change this formula to 100 plus. Then click OK. So there it is. So you're just going to copy up to, for say our template will be up to 100. So now let's go to the task. So again, let's go to data validation, list, and then source, task from here up to 100. So you can either type 100 here or this B2 up to B100, or you can just drag it. So either way. So, and then more blank, then click OK. So there you are. Then you can copy up to the 100. There. So let's go now to status. So do the same, data validation, list, source, go to task status. I'm going to put again up to 100 to be consistent. Okay. There. Under the status, I want it to have colors. So if I click complete, I want it to turn green. If I click delay, yellow. If I click ongoing, yellow. If I click delay, should be orange, and stop, red. So how am I supposed to do that? So first, let's go to home, conditional formatting. So you have two options here. First, you can do this highlight cell rule, which is equal to, so type complete. It should be the same spelling as if that type completed, it won't work. So complete. So what format? You can either click any of this pre-selected, or you can custom format. So I will custom format. I want light green, but the font, it's still black. Okay. There you are. So what if I want it ongoing? So ongoing should be yellow. So let's go again. Highlight cell rule equals to ongoing. So make sure again it's the same, since you have a dash there, should also have a dash here. So I want custom format. I want this yellow, just the light yellow. Okay. So ongoing yellow. So let's do the same with delay. Highlight cell rule equal to delay. Want this orange, light orange. Okay. So same thing with stop. I want this super orange. Oh, sorry. Super stop. I want it dark orange. There. So I now have complete, ongoing, delay, stop. Another way to do it is to home, conditional formatting, you manage rule. So new rule, and then use formula to determine, and then you're going to type here, format values where this formula is true. So our option are, we want that if I9 is equal to complete, it will turn green. So click this, I9 is equal to, so let's put quote, complete, quote, and then you format green. Okay, then apply. So we don't have a drop down here yet, so let's type, so it turns green. So that's another way of doing it. So you also do it with new rule, use a formula, and then let's do it with ongoing. So make sure you type similar text, ongoing. You want yellow. Select this yellow. Okay. Apply. Okay. So I'll type ongoing. So all I have to do is copy that up to 100. Okay, so now we have our drop-down menu. Next, let's work on our on the dates. So we have the baseline and data. So let's work first on the baseline dates. So the duration is the number of days needed to complete a specific task. So if I type here and I type January 5, 2026 in here, so let's change the format. So the end date should automatically compute, but we need to consider, since these are work days, so it should skip Saturday, Sundays, including your holidays. We're going to use the formula workday international. So type workday. So you have here workday and workday international. So workday actually is just the same. The only difference is workday doesn't have an option for you to choose for weekends. So it's just it allows you to select or skip holidays but not weekends. Let's try Workday International. So Workday International, click the start date, days, the duration, and then the weekend. So other weekend, it will give you an option. So if you type 1, it will skip Saturday, Sunday. So meaning your weekends are your Saturdays and Sundays. But like your rest day is Sunday, Monday, or you only have one rest day like Sunday. But in my case, I will be using Saturday, Sunday as my weekend. So I will type 1. And then the holidays. This is where you're going to put the range of holidays, the dates that will be skipped. So for now, we don't have that yet. We're going to create that first. So we leave that blank. So if you leave that blank, meaning you don't have holidays to consider excluding in your formula. So let's keep it that way for now. So let's change. So without the holiday, 5 days from January 5 is January 12. There are weekends in between. So let us now create our holiday tab. So add. So I'm from the Philippines, so I'll be putting all the non-working holiday in the Philippines. In doing the Workday International, this is the only column that will be needed, but I prefer having this day and holiday for reference for me to know what specific holiday that date falls into. I also want to know what specific day this date falls into. So like if this is Monday, if this is Saturday. So you'll be using the formula text. So text, click this cell. Now, if you want the format of your day to be like 3 letters, like Mondays, MON only, just type 3D. D stands for days. So this one falls on a Thursday, so it's only 3 letters. But if I want the complete Thursday, so I'll just have it for Z. So that's Thursday. So let's use this. So all of this, so this one falls on a Sunday, so it will definitely skip it though because it's included in our weekend. So doesn't matter, at least now we know what day this one falls in. So next, we go again in our formula, then we click the last. Before the parenthesis, we click comma, and then we go back to holidays. And then we select the dates or the holidays that we want to be excluded. So to be safe and to be consistent, I'll be putting up to 100. So let's fix this. So you're familiar with the absolute cell address. So we'll be fixing this so that when we copy it into the range where the holiday will be referencing into will not change. So that's it. So meaning there are no holidays in between January 5 to January 12. So if you think your project will reach up to 2027 or 2028, all you have to do is rewrite all of these holidays in here, and you can Google it what specific or what are the holidays in the Philippines in 27 or a specific country in the year 2027. Or you can like temporarily copy this because there are dates in here which will definitely change, like the Eid al-Fitr and this one, the Eid al-Adha one. The next task is start date of the next task will be the next day after the completion of the preceding task. So if this will end in January 12, this will be done the next day after. So this one plus 1 day. So it will start January 13, or your choice if you want it to start on the same day. So assuming it will start on the same day, the time that this task is completed. So then we'll just copy this formula. And then we'll just drag this down to 100. Okay. So times 6, 7, 8, 10, and so on and so forth. So we'll just have an option like if this duration is 0, so there will be no dates to be written in here. So we just use the formula if this is equal to, so it's blank. So otherwise, you work on the formula. So this is just basic if, and I know you're familiar with it. So let's try. For instance, task 1 is to be done by Emmy. This will take 5 days. And this one, let's take 6 days, 7 days, and so on. Task 2, task 3. Lisa, this will be done by Danny. So this one is ongoing. So now let's go to the actual dates. Just copy all of them. So by default, this date is, we shouldn't be typing or we shouldn't be putting formula in here because you'll be the one to put in here manually what will be your start date. Like January 5, February 3, for instance. So again, by default, you can put like this actual is always equal to your baseline. Yes, you're assuming that on your actual, you'll be doing the same. So but as you work on your project, doing the actual, you can change this manually. And then you can just copy, paste your formula. Or what you can do is you can create, every time you're working on a new project, you just create a new template so that your formula will not be messed up. Okay, so now we have our actual dates and baseline dates. So just in case, when your actual dates, this started January 5, but it actually started Feb 1. So you can change this manually. And this will automatically like follow. So this one, I just set this equal to that. Or if like the duration, or I'll be needing more, not 6 days, I'll be needing more, 4 days. So this will change to 10 days. So you can actually work on this, but baseline or to start, everything will just be equal to your baseline. And this are just your inputs, initial inputs. Okay, so for instance, this project has already been completed. This one is ongoing. Okay, so now let's go to the fun part. We need to put reference dates in here to match the dates we put in here, either on the baseline or on the actual. So we're going to put your dates. So it's up to you. You can use dates, you can use weeks. If you're using dates in here, but with weeks in here, you should create another tab which will help you match those two, that this days falls onto that week. So I have a separate tutorial for that. So for now, let us work on the days. So our start date is January 5. So you can safely put January 1 here, or you can start January 5. So date, you can, so this on a daily basis, just add 1. So if we're going to graph this will be like super huge, super wide. So what we're going to do is we just change the X direction of this to vertical up. Okay, so we can have that one. So just copy these. There, I now have my dates. If you're going to plot this manually, the graph should go from January 5 to January 12. So let's plot that. So in order for it, or our conditional formatting will shade or format this area, this date should be equal or greater than this. And at the same time, this date should be equal or less than this. So the formula, the condition will ask, is this date equal or greater than this? And at the same time, is it less than or equal than this date? So if it meets both conditions, so this will be shaded. So if not, it will just be left blank. So that's how our conditional formatting will work on our dynamic Gantt chart. So same thing with the actual dates, but we'll just be using different formatting so that you can differentiate on the graph which one is baseline or which one is the actual. So let's now start our conditional formatting. Conditional formatting, so it doesn't have a shortcut here. So we'll go directly to manage rules, new rule, use formula, then you click this arrow. So we want to check if this date is greater than or equal to this start date. And if this date is less than or equal to the end date. So we want to make sure we're using two conditions here. That's why we're using the formula. And so I have a separate tutorial on how to use if and or formulas. So another thing is the absolute cell address. So in this one, since we are referencing into this and we're going to move our formatting and formula like sidewards and downwards, we don't want it to, when we move it down, we don't want it to reference it here, or anywhere else. So we just want it to reference in this row. So we are going to make the row dynamic and the column, the column dynamic and the row to be absolute. So same thing with this. So this is just the same. We're going to remove the $sign on the column because you want the column to be dynamic. And then for this one, we don't want it to like moving. The column moves. Like if you're going to move the formula sidewards, it will reference into different columns. So what we're going to do is we're going to fix the column and then we're going to make the row dynamic. Same thing with this. So I also have a separate tutorial for the absolute cell referencing. So for now, let's go back to this and let's set the formatting. So for this one or for the baseline, I want a border. No, we're going to select blank broken borders. Okay. Now, okay. Then we are going to apply it to the cells from here up to that one to row 100. Just click apply. Okay, so let's check our. So there you are. So it highlights the cells that we manually highlighted earlier. So let's remove that. So now we have our baseline dates. Before we move on to the next section, I want to take a quick second. If you're watching this and thinking this logic is great, but I really just need to use this tracker today, I have you covered. You don't have to build this entire system from scratch. I have made this exact dynamic template we are building right now available to download over on my Gumroad store for free. You can grab it, plug in your project dates, and start automating your workflow immediately. Just click the link pinned in the comment section below to get it. And hey, if you're finding this tutorial helpful so far, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps me continue making this enterprise-grade tutorial for you every week. Alright, let's get back to the spreadsheet and set up the graph for the actual dates. We're now going to make a separate chart for our actual dates. So we're just going to click again this cell, conditional formatting, manage rules, and we're just going to add new rule. So we're just going to use the same formula. This time we are referencing into the actual dates. So, and if this one, so we make the row absolute is greater than or equal. So we're now using the actual dates. This one, so should be the column. Column should be the one absolute and the row is dynamic. And then another rule is if this one, dynamic column should be less than or equal than the end date of the actual dynamic row. And we want a different format. So I want the format of the actual dates to be different. So we'll just be using fill. So light gray, key. Okie dokie. Then since it will be applied on a similar cell, so we just copy this. Then apply. Okay. So as you can see, this starts February 1, so it highlights there. So you can see the delay. So at single glance, you can see that your project is delayed. So if you're going to change this, you don't need to manually change the graph. It will automatically change by itself. So for instance, this is January 5. So you're still on track, except for this one. Starting January 20, there is a delay. So you can, because the duration now became 10 days. So you can write delay arrival of materials. Okay. Now I'm going to teach you how to protect your worksheet. So for instance, you'll be sharing this with your team and you don't want their conditional formatting or your formulas or your formats in here to be messed up or to be changed. And you will only allow them specific cells that they can edit. So let's start. If you're going to click this and you will see protect sheet. So basically all of the cells in this worksheet will be locked, except for those that you select in here as an option that it can do in the cells locked or the locked cells. Like if you allow them to format it, format columns, and so on and so forth, edit objects, etc. So let's click that again. So I will password protect it. It will only allow them to select lock keys and select lock keys. So this will delete and this will protect all of the cells within the worksheet. So let's put password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can select it, but I cannot edit it. So once I protect it, all of the worksheet will be protected. So how are we going to allow them to have specific cells that they can edit, or to have specific cells that they can edit? So let's unprotect it. So always remember your password. Now you're going to select the cells which you would allow them to be edited or to be reformatted. So let us select. So these are the areas which you don't want to be changed because this is planned. Once you give it to them, the only dates that you want them to change are the actual dates. And then this will be protected. So this one can be edited. So you will be selecting those cells which can be edited. So format cells, you go to protection, you untick lock. Okay. And then this one is protected. This one is not, and this one, and the remarks. Up to 100. So again, format cells, click uncheck lock. And then you don't want this to be changed, so don't touch that. And the dates, you can have them edit this. So you can also set this to be edited. You can unlock that. Also the portion of this, you can also set this or unlock this. So again, so by default, when you set the formula protect sheet, all of this will be protected except for those you allowed to have access. So protect sheet. So now you'll have an option what they can do to those protected cells. So those that you did not unlock. So they can select it. They can select lock and unlock cells both. You don't want them to be formatted because you don't want to change the conditional formatting, which is under formatting options. You don't want them to insert. You don't want them to insert hyperlink, deletes, or anything, but you can allow them to use auto filter. So those are the only options that you can allow them to do on those locked cells. But the rest of those that you click, that you allow them, you can do anything on it. So let's put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember your password. 1, 2, 3, 4. There. So this is the area that we allow them to be edited. So I can edit it. But this one, I cannot. This one too. I can change this. Your project. That's it. So your worksheet is now protected. You can do the same thing with this. Like for instance, you don't want to change the holidays or you don't want this. Since this has a formula, you don't want this to be edited. So by default, when you lock this again, this will be, all of these cells will be protected. So let's just select the cells which you don't want to be protected. This one, format cells. Yeah, this one up to 100. Format cells, lock. There, then you can now protect the whole sheet. Select, I'll just allow them to select and they can sort. It's auto filter. Oh, okay. So the password is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's it. Can be changed, but I can change this. That wraps up our dynamic Gantt chart build for today. If you want to skip the manual setup and start using this exact tracker immediately, you can download the free template we just created using the link pinned in the comments section. So while you're down there, please hit subscribe so you don't miss our next automation tutorial. Also, if you need slight different workflows, I have other premium templates available on my Gumroad store, including dynamic Gantt chart that uses weekly reference dates. You can find that link in the comments as well. Command your operations and I will see you in the next video.